For sure. Well, man, I really, once again, appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk to me, man. I was, just following you on social media. I was telling my wife earlier, like kind of all of my inspiration for podcasts, I'll see somebody and I'll just be like, man, it would be cool to talk to that guy. And then I hit him up and most of the time it materializes. So
yeah, man. Again. Happy to do it, man. This is actually, like I said, my first time doing a podcast or whatever. So
yeah. Like I said, some people like a tight format on it. I'm kind of like fly by the seat of my pants.
I got you.
Let it develop however it develops. But yeah.
Right.
Well, hey, let me intro you real quick. So we got Sean Mills from Machine Funk, a tribute to Widespread Panic. So, man, tell me a little bit about like what's the origin of the name?
Machine Funk is actually the original name for the Widespread Instrumental Machine, machine bar stools.
Oh, yeah.
It was, when it first came around in the early 90s, I believe that was the original name for it, was Machine Funk. Or I saw it on some set lists and tapes I used to get, So there was an old Widespread message board back in the early 2000s called the Easy Board Sandbox or whatever. And my name on there was Machine Funk. So before the band came around, I had that name as my screen name. So when we finally got together, we were thinking band names. I just threw it out and it stuck. It's not really the greatest of, it doesn't really tell a lot about Widespread unless you're really deep into them. Some people have gotten the name over the years, but a lot of times it's kind of like, people think we're a funk band, like, oh, you guys are a funk band, or I didn't hear any funk music, but anyway, that's just how it is. But that's where the name came from.
I've heard you guys get funky a time or two, just my passing listens. I've heard Panic get funky a time or three, man.
Oh yeah. That's the great thing about them. They can, a lot of that New Orleans stuff, some of the meter stuff, they can really get funky.
Yeah.
Mr. Schools start slapping the bass, and then no doubt. That's the thing I like about them. And the Grateful Dead. They cover so much, so many different parts of music, hard rock and stuff, heavy metal sounding stuff to reggae, like it's just a big dynamic. Their sounds are very dynamic. They can go from a country sound, just a lot like the Grateful Dead too. Just very, very versatile in their sound.
So, man, how did you first get into listening to Panic? Because I missed out on it for a long time. I didn't start listening to him until 2015, and I don't know what I was doing to myself. I just never heard of him before that. Right. And then I went and saw him live. They came and played in Arkansas, and it blew me away. Then I started following them all over the country. So,
well, how old are you, Brian?
33.
33. So you're 7. I'm 40. Well, when I was, I grew up. When I was real young, I used to like Motley Crue and like Metallica and stuff, And then I went through the Nirvana phase when I was in 7th or 8th grade, Pearl Jam. I was into that stuff.
Same.
Alice in Chains, I still love them. But when I got into about 8th or 9th grade, actually my stepdad, I had a really cool stepdad. My parents were young when they had me, so they were only 20 years older than me. And my stepdad was a big Deadhead. He was really into Garcia. So he started kind of getting me in that jam band kind of, which that wasn't even a term back then. But Widespread came about just with my love for the Grateful Dead. I got turned on to them. When I went to high school, there was this girl that I really had a big crush on. She was older than me. She liked them. So I kind of got into it that way. I ended up going to see him. And then that was 1995.
So, that would have been Hauser era. Wow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Standing Hauser era.
Oh, I only hear about that in Panic Stream.
JoJo had only been around for like 3 years when I started seeing him. He was the new guy. But just seeing them, and I got hooked. And, I'm from South Carolina, and in the early to mid-'90s, man, they played around here. It seemed like every 5 or 6 weeks. You know what I mean? They were just And Fish would come around once a year. The Grateful Dead come around once a year, but Widespread, they seem to be accessible. They'd play Wilmington, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Columbia. They were all around. So I had a lot of opportunity as a young man, turning 15, 16 years old, very impressionable, and, just getting my mind blown with live music. I still think the mid to late 90s were the greatest time for live music since the 70s. I mean, 97 Fish, the Widespread between 97 and 2000, the way they grew, their sound, their just everything.
See, so like it's often been my theory that like I may have heard about them late because like the era you're talking about, I would have been 10 years old. So, and then Hauser passes away in 02, 87. So, I'm just getting into the age where you started getting into him when Hauser passes away. Not saying that's also, but I don't know. I don't know if they really lost momentum as a band. I know they kept playing. I listened to all 3 of those McConnell albums and the live stuff. I love it.
Well, the irony of it is when Hauser died, they were almost at their height of popularity. The first few George years, I mean, they freaking sold out like Walnut Creek in Raleigh. I mean, that was like, 30,000 people. Wow. They were still selling out places when George started with the band. Oh, but musically, it took a huge hit. I mean, the first time I saw him without Mikey, I was like, oh my God, it was a really big difference because he was so quiet and in and out and weaving and stuff, but he was really kind of the backbone of the band as far as, that driving lead and the drivingness of his guitar. It pushed it, and Todd played off of it so well. But anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, so I was just at the right age and the right time where they started to blow up, and I was seeing them in like high school gyms and stuff. And like this place, Wilmington, it was University of Wilmington, University of North Carolina, Wilmington. It was still a pretty small place, man. There's like 800 people in the place, and they're just lighting it up. Wow. And I'm freaking, just getting into fucking smoking joints and swag with my buddies. And, it's fucking, there was a time, and I got lucky, and it really fueled me to want to start playing guitar, but really being serious about playing music. Finding some people to play started becoming a thing to me.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids in my school played too. There was a few high school bands, and there was some guys in the neighborhood. They all played guitar, so it seemed to always be around me and sparked my interest. But anyway, I was just in the right place at the right time, man. The age group. I saw Garcia one time before he died. On my 15th birthday, I saw Grateful Dead in Charlotte. So I got to see that and absorb it and feel it, and it was crazy. Even though he was on his, last little bit, he was still the man. You know what I mean? That fucker, he came out like the damn wizard, son. Yeah. Like, I've never seen a stage presence like I've seen Jerry Garcia. Somebody not even doing anything, he was just coming out.
I know, right? I know.
He didn't talk to the crowd or nothing. He threw his arm up at the end. That was the biggest deal. I don't know.
Man, that's like I try and convey, people that haven't heard of Widespread Panic. I try and convey just the emotions of how that band has made me feel. Like I tell this story all the time because it's never like Jimmy is playing this. They're playing Neil Young's Walk On at DC 2 years ago.
Right.
And dude, I just started bawling my eyes out. I'm like, what is this dude even doing? What is this whole band doing to me right now? I've been listening to music for 30-something years, like this is setting me down right now with what these guys are doing. It's real special.
It's almost like magic where it's always relatable. You can always find something because the material, even the covers they do, it's deep stuff, man. They're not just up there trying to cut a track or hit a it's a weird, everything is about soul. Just like I was saying about Garcia, it's all about soul and realness of bringing it, and Panic they're some of the best, especially JB. I mean, the stuff he does and pulls off during shows, it's hard to explain to somebody well, hey, this guy's going to say some shit that's not even part of the song. He just makes it up every time. And you know what I mean? It's like, and then the people are looking at you going, okay, what the fuck, you know?
We call it a rap.
Like, yeah, you can't tell the lady at work and try to explain to her, you know, okay, this is what happens, you know, during Hatfield. But that's just one of those things where.
Oh, hold on. You just muted real quick. Hold on. Boom.
Somebody was trying to call me and it muted.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
Hatfield's. You're. Can you hear me now?
Am I muted? Are you muted?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I can't hear you. Hang on a second.
Hold on.
Shit.
Just a second. Yeti external.
How about now? I can hear you now.
Okay. Good.
I'm sorry. Somebody just tried to call me.
Dude, it happens, man. I've been filming videos.
Can you edit that part out, or is it?
I can if I want, or we can just, you know. But we were somewhere around Hatfield's mama.
We were just talking about how do you explain the what happens at a widespread show and the emotion it gives you. It's I don't know, man. I can't explain it to this day, but I know from the time I was 15 and when I was going to see him, it was something that I knew I needed to go do, and it became a part of me. I don't know, but a bunch of kids, man, almost everybody I grew up with, that was just like, most of them were into Panic, you know what I mean? They were into, it was just kind of like in the water around here where I was from.
Hell yeah.
But,
man, you know, I talk about, so I teach history at a college here nearby. It's like 25 miles away, but I explain it to my students like this when I get to ancient Greece. I'm like, hey, there's this guy named JB, and he's kind of like Homer. Right, he's this bard. I mean, because Panic has a catalog of the whole history of the band of something like 600 songs. Like, that dude's known the lyrics to something like 600 songs.
You mean the songs they performed all time, 600?
All time. The whole, every cover, every original, the whole history of the band. It's something like six.
That's a lot of songs.
That's like some Homeric shit, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just goes to show you how much he puts into it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not easy, you know. In some of his later years, I'm sure he's using some lyrics up there with the lights on his monitor. But yeah, that's still a lot of stuff to remember. The thing that I think is the coolest about him is the raps and stuff that he does. That really, I mean, that's what blows me away. I mean, his lyrics are definitely next level stuff. I mean, he sings a lot about space, a lot about, you know, I don't know. He sings about, you know, more stuff than just seems like, you know, love and stuff. He's kind of a little more like celestial, kind of deep cat kind of thinking stuff.
We turned a buddy of mine's an English professor on to the Everyday album, and we turned him on to 2 Panic albums, and the first thing he reported back to my friend and I, you know, he sings a lot about food, you know, coconuts and chicken. And I was like, yeah, you're damn straight he does.
What did he say in one interview? He said chicken and angels. That's his 2 topics, chicken and angels.
Oh, man.
Well, you know, and I just, you know, part of them not being that big in the early 90s is me getting to go around. I met some people that kind of worked through them, with them. I got to go backstage and meet them personally. I mean, they almost became, I didn't know them, but I felt, you know, that I was more a part of the community. I'd get to go back there and hang out with JoJo for a minute, shake his hand, or get his autograph. They're always really cool guys, too, really down-to-earth people. So that was kind of part of it that drew me in, too. I was just like, right on, man. You know, I really wanted to be in that world, you know, because I peaked early as an athlete, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't very good. I was a pretty decent baseball player, but then, you know, that was short-lived, and football wasn't really my thing. I was kind of just at a place where I was looking for something, and I kind of found Panic and their deal, and I kind of really jumped into it. It helped me out in some years when I was figuring myself out and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, man. There's been so many days in a row or weeks on end maybe where all I've listened to is Panic. I was
Yeah.
joking with Mike Andler. It's like, well, I was just listening to Panic exclusively every day, and then the new Tool album came out, and then I detoured off on that for a while, and then went back to Panic. So, well, man. So one thing, I was watching that Asheville show, and I've watched several of your clips just on YouTube and stuff. But man, you play guitar and you sing, so you're playing two roles at once.
Yeah.
That's
Hang on, bro.
okay. So there, did you hear all that?
Can you hear me? Yeah. So tell me about say what you just. I lost you for a second.
Yeah. So one thing, I've been just watching that Asheville show. Watch most of it, 2.5 hours. But I just seen like clips, like the clip of you playing Henry Parsons and Chilly Water, and just stuff here and there online. But man, one thing that blew me away when I watched you guys play live, which that was a super recent show, like December of 2019, was you're fronting the band, playing guitar, playing Hauser leads. Sometimes I'm like, man, wow, he sounds like Hauser, but he also sounds like Jimmy right now. But he's singing like JB. Like it really, man, it blew me away that you were able to do all that. How do you pull that off? What's your approach in being able to bring all that together like that? Oh, that's a big question.
Well, I guess part of it was out of necessity, as far as the Einhorn Finkel kind of part of it, where where I sing and play the Hauser lead. It's definitely challenging, and I've even thought about trying to bring another guitar player in, or we've experimented over the years, but I don't know, man. I just pull a little bit. My playing's changed over the years. I pull a little bit from everybody who's been a part of the band. McConnell, some of my licks. I mean, I don't know. I can't really play. People say, man, you sound a lot like Hauser, and even Todd Nance, when I played with him, he told me, you sound the closest to Mikey that I've ever played with besides Mikey. You sound like that, but I don't think I really do. I don't really try to pull his thing off. I just kind of take all three of those guys and put them into one and try to deliver it in an honest way, where I'm not wearing cowboy boots and a plaid shirt. You know what I mean? I still want to be myself while I'm doing it. I'm not trying to be these guys.
That's big.
I'm just trying to play their music in the spirit of which I witnessed growing up and what it deserves. I mean, kind of the reason we started the band is I wanted the Soldano, which is right there. I don't know if you can see that. My amp.
Yeah.
That was obviously Mike Hauser's amp, the Mesa Boogie and stuff. But I wanted to play that. I wanted to play the old school style of Panic. That's kind of the reason the band started. So I guess the question is, I just kind of have always, I started the band with guys I met, and I just always played the lead. And I don't know. I don't try to sound like JB either. Some people don't like my voice. I've heard some criticism from some folks before that I don't really pull it off or whatever, but
I was digging it, man. No criticism here, but I mean, anytime you put yourself out there,
especially stuff.
Yeah,
fans are very they can be pretty sanctimonious about their music. You know what I mean? They're precious. We played in Athens one time. One of the first times we ever played in Athens, man. It was rough. I'm a Carolina Gamecock football fan, and I felt like we were going into a football game playing in Athens, because they were like, these guys are widespread Panic cover band. What the fuck? They're gonna suck. Or kind of a how dare you thing. And there's a couple of people, and even Eric Carter from Bloodkin was working at the bar we were playing at. I was like, oh man. Wow. So by the end of the night, they were all smiles. It was all love by then. But sometimes people, they're definitely like, man, I thought you guys were gonna suck, or
Dude, one of your shows, is it normal for you to have Edie Jackson signing at your shows?
Edie, no, she lives in Polly's Island, which is close to Myrtle Beach. So I've known her husband's obviously Peter, who was the production manager for Widespread for years. Yeah. But we just met then, and she's done it before with us and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I've just been lucky living between Atlanta and South Carolina. A bunch of these cats live in the area, and we've had Lopez and the guys from Blood King. A bunch of people have showed up at our shows in Atlanta before and just come to watch us. And Danny Hutchins was at our show last December, which I've actually become pretty good friends with him. We did some shows and all that, but it was kind of weird playing Blood King tunes in front of him, just having him sit over there to the side with Lopez and people from the crew from Lifespring. Just like, man, Paul Hoffman's there.
Oh man,
he's hung out with us in Wilmington a lot. So it's very close ties to these guys, and even though I don't try to abuse it in any way, but I definitely feel that they have seen us do our thing and whatnot, and they've always encouraged me to write my own music. They're not I don't think they would come out and endorse us like the Kiss tribute band or Bruce Springsteen guy. I think ultimately they would convey to me, hey man, write some tunes, become your own guy kind of deal, which is cool and all, but this music is proven and there's a market for it, and it's just something I've always loved, and it's really the only thing I'm good at or decent at. I wouldn't say good.
Man, so do you guys cover exclusively Panic songs, or do you do Panic cover songs, like songs they cover as well?
Yeah, pretty much anything they've done live is on the table for us. So that's basically, like you said, those 600 songs.
Yeah.
And we've done songs they haven't done. I think we actually played. I think we did "Born to Run" one New Year's Eve. We've done some covers that they haven't done. We've done a few Tom Petty songs I don't think they've done.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't really have any rules as far as writing my set list, but we obviously play the hits. We do Chilly Water and the big ones, and
Yeah.
But yeah, we play. We do whatever they do live. Is basically how I base it. We do the key sets, the drums, the encore, if needed. But excuse me. I try to make it sound as close as possible to the real deal.
Well, that's what blew me away is how authentic it did sound. Like particularly that Asheville show, which I'll probably link in the comment or in the description of this video.
Yeah, when I show that was probably an off night for us too, if I remember.
Oh, wow, dude.
There wasn't that many people there. It was cold, but it was a cool place. But it's all anytime I know we're getting fit, which we do live streams now, or we did. But back in the day when we'd hire somebody or we knew somebody was filming us, we'd always play like shit in my mind. It would be like pressure. But I've also realized that, in my opinion, I probably sometimes keep to myself because people don't notice when we play bad. You know what I mean? I don't want to come off negative like.
Yeah.
We missed that one part of Tall Boy, But that's really what I'm thinking.
It's so interesting in situations like that. The audience, I think, very rarely ever notices. There's been people like just with Panic, for example, would be talking like, "Did you hear JB messed up the lyrics on this?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't. Are you serious? Like, no, I didn't hear it at all." But
have you seen the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg in it?
Oh yeah. Classic.
Where he's in a cover band of his favorite band, and then the guy gets sick or whatever, so he gets to be in the band, right? So that was like that's basically how you can look at me and the way I look at it. Like, he's very anal about how this cover band was played. He wanted to play it right. He told the guys, you're not doing that. He's just being a dick about it all. And to me, sometimes I catch myself being too much business because we're not writing songs, so I'm not worried about creativity or the other guys in the band. We don't argue about stuff like that. It's all about like, all right, man, that part of Pilgrims at the end where it starts doing that, we get, that's really what I'm on is like, I want to do it. I look at it kind of like football a little bit, which is weird, but like I want to execute,
Do you like study different versions and like compare different versions of certain songs?
That's what will sometimes guys will be like, man, schools didn't do that in the one I listened to, and I'm like, and like the drummer, our new drummer guy, he's a big Dwayne kid. He loves Dwayne. He's young and he didn't see Todd that much. So, and I always reference Todd with the feels and the way the feel I want him to do it. So that's really the only difference is I have a certain And sometimes we pull up shows, I'll be like, man, let's do it like this, the way the groove they have right there, because they play it so differently. And things change over the years. You write a song, it sounds like this, and it just builds and changes. And 5 years later, it's a whole different beast,
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, too, is playing things, But I enjoy the jams and the whole hippiness of it. But I also look at it as I wanted to play it right. And I want it to be, I push the guys and I push myself in that respect.
So yeah, and what I saw, I guess your bass player plays a 6-string bass also, just like Schools.
Yep.
Very authentic. That's impressive. I mean, I've only seen a handful of 6-string basses in person, at music stores and stuff.
I think he actually has a 5-string he plays sometimes too, but certain songs he'll play the 6, when he needs that high part.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it right. You know what I mean? And the thing about Panic and jam band music is there's a lot of open area of interpretation. I mean, there's parts of songs you got to play it the way they write it, but then you got an open highway you could take and play that, jam for minutes on stage. It's like they have a lot of open, no rules in some of their songs besides the basic arrangements. Some songs are always played the same way. Travel on Light. It's the same, even though it's not their song, but it just has the same structure. It's the same solo. It's the same, basically 6-minute song.
Yeah. Man, so you mentioned about your head and your cabinet there being sort of Hauser. I've seen you play exclusively what appears to be a Hauser Telly. I got one of those myself right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got the lace sensor pickups.
Yes, sir. 2
red, 1 blue.
Yeah. Is that do you run that setup exclusively?
Yeah, man, I do. There was a couple of years, man, when another guitar guy would play with us, and he was really good. Like, he's like Jimmy Herring good. And I played the Washburn like JB does for just almost nice. 1 year. But it didn't really work. And a couple of people came to me and I'm like, man, why are you not playing the Telecaster? And then I was like, well, I'm trying something different. I just want to sing and not have to do the 2 things. And there was a bunch of people going, no, go back to the other thing. So I was basically forced into going back to the Telly. But yeah, that's all I play live with them. I have an acoustic, but I don't really play it on stage with our band because I'm the only guitar player. So that really makes me have to do a little more stuff. And it really makes the piano player have to step it up a little bit, like during Space Wrangler when JB holds down the chords a lot while the lead's going. I make the piano, or I ask the guys to be louder during those parts or make more noise during that, cover those chords because there's not another guitar player, Some of it's challenging to do with one guitar, but I do a lot of things sometimes that Hauser normally didn't do. Sometimes I'll hold chords just to make more sound, and just fill in because I understand what JB does on his part and Hauser. So sometimes I just try to mush both of those together and play 2 different licks in 3-second interval while I'm singing a verse.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Have you seen how the Jimmy's Rig Rundown, how he has the volume pedals to bring in the rest of the band? That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty excessive, but I mean,
yeah, you're not kidding.
I've always heard how loud they were live. I don't know about now with Dwayne and Jimmy, but a couple sound guys, the guy at the House of Blues, he was like, man, they're the loudest band I've ever mixed in my life. He was basically complaining about how loud their stage volume was, which, sound people hate that. They want it to be quiet so they can mic it up and blow it through the speakers. So, I don't know. Jimmy he has really influenced me a lot. I was a fan of his before he joined the band, but I actually saw the first shows in New York. I went up and he's a beast, man. He's good. I wouldn't criticize him at all, but I mean, he's still in the book. He's been in the band, 10 years, more than that, 15 years on it.
He's almost been in the band as long as Hauser was.
Yeah. It's a whole different thing, man.
It is. But that time comparison, that blows my mind, like the scale. Like to think, well, I guess he joined in 2006, if I'm not mistaken.
2006, yeah. September 2006 was his first shows up in Radio City. Yeah. I actually played a gig up there. I had some friends up there at their little local bar up there. I played. It was cool. But man, Jimmy's playing. He's really rubbed off on me, but I can't play like him. I'm not good like him. I don't know the musical theory like he does. And I have these big, huge fingers that don't move that fast. You know what I mean? Like, so I've taken a little bit of, I've learned a couple of his licks because some of these songs Hauser never played on. You know what I mean? So I have to kind of do some of his stuff to try to emulate it. You know, Saint X or what's the other one we do? I don't know. I like him a lot, man. I don't know if I like him with Panic. And like I said, I was a big Todd guy. And when Todd left the band, that was kind of the straw for me where I was just like, not really get into it. But I was a huge fan of theirs. And then when all that stuff happened, I just kind of quit going. I think I've seen Dwayne once. I've seen one show with them.
Wow. But, that's like everything I've seen has only been with Dwayne. Todd probably left like 6 months before I saw him live the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
And it might be good for you as a fan presently because you don't have any reference. Dwayne's good, man. It's just
I hear these stories, and I love having conversations with people about these past eras that I'm only able to watch on Nugsnet or.
Well, it was Todd and Mikey, man. They were the childhood friends, and so their playing, man, was so integral, whatever that word is, important. You know, the way they played off each other was a huge part of the band. And and when Todd left, to me, that was the last of the signature Widespread Panic sound. Besides JB's voice, I mean, you hear that Space Wrangler when you hear Porch Song, when you hear the Takeout and all this stuff. It's Todd Nance. And just the way he played, the smoothness of his drumming, the transitions and stuff. I mean, it's hard to get in. It was hard to get into Dwayne's stuff. And then once I started really, it was hard. I'm a big Todd fan, and I hate that we just lost him too. He was a really awesome dude, special dude. And the short time I knew him personally, he really impacted my life. It was really, really sad to see him go. But I've seen that guy, man. I've seen him do stuff on stage. I mean, he belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They all do, in my mind. Not this the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. When I was hanging with Todd, we went to his storage unit place where he had his drums, and he showed, hey, this is the drum kit I played for 25 years, and I'm thinking this fucking thing belongs in a museum. It's in a storage unit. I was like, Todd, this thing needs to be set up in your house, dude. You know what I mean? I was like, they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they'll never get there because commercial bands that belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame aren't in it. But whatever award that you give out to people that do the best, they need to have it because they're one of the greatest bands ever in my mind.
I'm with you. See, I knew we would talk about stuff just like this when we were messaging back and forth. I was like, well, I'm a huge Panic fan. If that tells you anything.
Yeah, man.
There will be no shortage of back and forth. Do you guys cover anything from the McConnell era?
Yeah, we do. We've done Ribs and Whiskey, which that was a JB song that was around when Hauser was around, but they never performed it as a band. What else do we do, McConnell? You Should Be Glad. Hauser never played on that. You play that song. Yeah. There's a few, man. I like George, really.
Man, did you see that?
Man. He was in a tough spot.
Oh yeah, I
but
imagine.
Really, I don't know. The thing that always got me about George in my mind was he was really. I didn't like his equipment, really. I thought that he would have benefited more for beefing up his tone a little bit, maybe getting a little more crunch in his shit, a little Warren Haynes. He was really good flat. Everybody always said George is great on acoustic flat picking, and that goes to show you he's a good guitar player, but his tone really didn't fit. There's a lot of times he was really muddy, and he would wah-wah pedal things, and I don't know. He was in a tough spot, though, so I hate to criticize him, but I think I did.
But, why I bring this up, did you see this past week there was an old Beanland show going around from like 92 at the Varsity?
I've watched their documentary about Beanland, so I'm familiar with them, and they were big. They were like a huge college band in Mississippi.
They were jamming though, like not early
Sure.
90s, 92. I was
Oh, yeah.
super impressed, and I was like, man, I mean, I guess he did sound that same sort of way with Panic, but I was like, I thought that early Beanland stuff, I was like, damn, dude, you're getting down. Like, I see why they chose you to join the band, I guess. I
And
was
plus
thinking.
plus he'd been around, knowing JoJo, knowing the guys. He sat in with them. It was almost like family, like just like with us playing. We've been playing since '06, so we've met bands along the way that aren't necessarily in our genre, but and you become friends with people, man, when you see them on the road and they're playing maybe the night before, or they're loading out while you're loading in, and you end up catching a drink or a meal with them, and you're like, it's like, kind of brothers in arms kind of thing, what I mean? You relate to them. I'm sure that was half of the thing. They felt comfortable around George, especially the relationship with him and JoJo. And the story was they wanted Jimmy, and Jimmy was with Phil and contracted, so he couldn't join the band. Which I don't know the truth to that. I've heard that Hauser.
I've always heard that, yeah.
Who knows whether, but
I've heard that too. I've heard Hauser handpicked him also. Yeah.
but that doesn't seem like a Hauser thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The few times I met Mikey, but Todd also told me that Mikey was a lot more assertive, behind closed doors. He was more like he wanted to be the leader kind of deal. Or he was the leader kind of deal, which I've seen that if you watch the movie, like they all kind of defer to him, even JB. Like he really was, I don't know, it's almost like they all kind of looked to him on stage and stuff like that, which was weird because he was the quiet guy sitting down with his hair in the wind, But and me knowing the music, and that's another thing about me always saying like, oh, well, George should have did this or Dwayne should do this. I do it for a living almost. So, I'm a little jaded and maybe I shouldn't share those things at times, but I mean, I'm not showing any disrespect. I mean, I saw George McConnell play at Madison Square Garden, and I also saw him play at my local bar in Florence. So, I mean, I have no room to talk. I mean, the guy's been to the top. I'm not putting him down anyway. I just, if anybody would have ever asked me, I would have tried to nudge him. And I'm sure that schools and the guys in the band never were like, hey, will you play it this way? Or you think you could, turn it up a little bit or, beef this up,
It's a tough conversation to have for sure.
I bet the toughest one was the night they fired him on the bus.
Oh, damn.
That was probably the real tough one. The story I heard was they kept checking to see if his contract was getting renewed, and he kept asking around, and they were like, Then it came down to an all-night bus ride from St. Louis to Louisville, talking about, I guess they let him go or something. But that was probably the tough one.
Yeah. Dude, I was just somewhat recently listening to all those shows that Sam Holt played with them right after that. Man, Sam can get down. I'm a fan of Sam Holt's stuff.
Yeah, Sam can get down. I'm a fan of Sam too. I don't know if he's a fan of me too much, but I'm a pretty good fan of his. I've enjoyed his playing over the years, and I've invited him many times to come sit in with us and come share the stage, and he's never really obliged. I don't know if we both play the same thing, kind of. I don't know what his deal is, but he's never reached out to me in that way. And I've always followed him on social media and liked his stuff. But yeah, he's great. I don't know why they wouldn't give him a shot. I guess it was they wanted to forge ahead because they were all about natural stuff, and they probably wouldn't want to do even me or anybody who would play like they used to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though when I got to play with Todd, it was nice to play with him, and he was very complimentary. He said, "Man, it feels like the old days." But in a way, I could tell, it was like the old days to him. I was probably enjoying it more than he was. Yeah. It was like rock and roll fantasy camp, baseball fantasy camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, so why did Todd leave the band? Was it health reasons? Do you know? I've heard health reasons was the main thing the whole time, but I don't know. I've heard this and that.
Man, I probably shouldn't say why he left.
Yeah, that's fine too. Like, it's like one of those things. It's like we were talking earlier. It's speculated about, right?
I mean, it's not my place to say why he left the band, but I'm sure most people can figure it out. I'm sure there were some health reasons, but he came back for that La Playa in 16 and played with them for another run. And then after that, he wasn't in the band anymore when they got back to Athens for the following shows. So whatever happened between that point was really the end of the band for them. So I'm not sure if it was health reasons or if they came to an agreement. Really, I just can't probably talk about that because I was a little privy to some of the conversations. and I'll say this. Growing up, idolizing these guys, you put them on stage, you put them on a pedestal in a cloud, and then you get around these guys. And they're in the first 30 minutes you're around them, it's like, oh, my God, that's who these people are. And then you're around them for a few days and you go, man, these are just normal people, man. Then you go, wow, these are normal people who have flaws. And you're like, wow, these are normal people, and it's like some of me wished that I didn't see the other side so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just the whole thing, I was like, oh, man, this is so not what I thought it was kind of thing. And so they always say, you don't want to meet your idols because they're just people, man. I don't know why he left the band. I know it hurt him. I know it hurt him bad. And he never said one bad thing to me about Dwayne or the band. The time I was around him when he played, when I got to play with him, he didn't say anything bad. So, I mean, it just seemed like it really hurt him. And he was hurt not being able to do his thing anymore. And I don't know, he didn't tell me about any blame or any of that, but I think it just really hurt him. And I got to play with him when the few times I played with him. I saw it, he would get that spark and he could still play too. I mean, I didn't think there was many physical reasons he couldn't be in the band anymore because, he whooped it up pretty good with me. But that's always stuff that, is handled internally. And I'm sure now that he passed away, I mean, I'm sure that there's some real feelings, man. And I don't really know what happened at the end with Todd, but I hope that he got to talk to some of the guys. And I would hope there was some kind of like reaching out or closure done, but I don't know,
Yeah.
Some heavy
and
shit.
That's that sort of stuff is, Curtis George from Panic Extreme. He slips this in periodically, but I think anybody that listens to Panic says this kind of stuff is like they're not going to be around for how much longer. Sadly, it's like enjoy it while it lasts. That's what I've heard a few people say.
Yeah, and that's really the truth of it, man. Anytime they get to play, especially with all this COVID stuff from this year and their last shows. What was their last shows? That New York run in March, right? So just for them to keep playing is, like you said, it is a treasure, man. And at this point, it is what it is, and they probably need to play as long as they want to play, and keep it going as long as it feels relevant to them and the magic's there. I'm still a huge fan of theirs, man. I'm a big fan of theirs, and I always will be. Whether I agree with some of the stuff that happened or agree with some of the moves they make, it doesn't matter. I'm just a fan. You know what I mean? It's really none of my business, but like I said, people love this band so much it becomes your life. You know what I mean? And it really became my life when I started the band and then started trying to pursue, I wanted to get to the bottom of their sound and stuff, and boy, did I. I really got to the bottom of a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, man, you're definitely, you're killing it out there. And I appreciate the heck out of what you're doing. And, man, what songs you going to play for us today?
Man, what do you want me to do? I was thinking maybe Driving Song.
Oh,
see, our last show was in March as well when it started. And I made it about a month and a half or two, and I started doing these live streams from down here in my music room. And it's really helped me on Friday nights to just kind of do it and get it out. And so I've got to explore some songs and new stuff and old stuff. I was thinking Driving Song's probably their masterpiece to me, along with, Pilgrims and some other songs.
Porch Song and Takeout are two of my absolute favorites.
Porch Song and Takeout?
Yeah.
Okay. How about I do like Driving Song and then Porch Song?
Man, that'd be killer.
I could do that. Should I back the camera up so you can see my guitar?
It's up to you. I'm gonna see if I can't share just your screen too while we're at it.
I wonder if that'll change the thing and all. Let me back this up a little bit and see. I don't want to mess anything up. Can you see the guitar?
Yeah, yeah.
Our production value here. My production value at the house is lacking a little bit. You hear that all right?
It's a little condensed.
Condensed? You need it up a little bit?
Yeah, just a tad. There we go.
Bass, a little bit of the drum part, the bass drum. Well, you see through my window pane, night and day, it's time to live my life again. Oh, there was songs about my own, chilly breeze blowing thoughts for what's to come. Come on, coffee, somebody to see. Go for the candy, go for the love, go for me. Choose my blues, take the rock back home. Comes to the green, taking me this far. Some lights. Well, I'm on the way that I'm stopped. Somewhere, somehow, somewhere, I'm not found. Well, touch a smoking world and see. Dust and sunshine always in their eyes but me. There's a brown cat speaking to the station. Shouting on the way out, be slow.
Heck yeah, man. I love the looper.
Yeah, man. I need it so I can get more sound and more of a feel to it.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Well, thank you, Sean. I appreciate, again, you sitting down and sharing the passion with me, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I hope I get to meet you in person one day.
Oh, hey, likewise. If I'm ever in the neighborhood, I'll hit you up. And I mean, maybe if you guys are playing a show, I'll get to see you before long.
What part of Arkansas do you live in?
Like right in the River Valley, kind of between Little Rock and Fort Smith, like right in the middle.
Okay.
So,
well, maybe we'll come traveling through one day and we'll have to get up and hang out and have a drink, brother.
Heck yeah, man. Sounds great.
When will this be on the air?
Man, I'll edit it, probably put it out sometime early this coming week. I'm gonna be on quarantine, so I'm gonna have all kinds of time.
Well, let me know, brother, and I'll help share it out to everybody.
For sure. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your time, man.
Okay, man. I enjoyed it.
Have a good one.
Take care.